What is up, guys? Archon Tsunami here, bringing you guys another YouTube video. I wanted to chime in on the whole Blitzchung situation and the backlash Blizzard has received, and Blizzard's response to all the backlash thus far. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the Blitzchung situation and what started this whole tale. Blitzchung on October 6th won a Hearthstone tournament, and when he was being interviewed, he went on to say, "Liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our time." Since he is from Hong Kong, he wants, his country to be liberated. He's supporting the protests that are going on right now since the Hong Kong people feel like they're being treated unjustly by the Chinese government. Shortly thereafter, he was suspended for a full year. He lost all of his prize earnings for that season, and the two casters that were doing the interview also were suspended for a full year, even though they really had nothing to do with the whole situation. They were just casualties of what Chung had said. Both of them, if you go watch the video, were apprehensive when after Chung said what he did. They were trying to hide their faces under the desks because they knew that they were going to get in trouble, or they were trying to absolve themselves of anything that Chung had said. So after this happened, literally a couple days later, people started, uninstalling Battle.net, unsubscribing to World of Warcraft to support the backlash that's going on against Blizzard. The U.S. government was talking about it, like senators were speaking out about Blizzard bending the knee to China for their Chinese interests, since since they have such a big gaming market. Shortly thereafter, another Hearthstone stream was held. 1 second, guys. And on stream, the college students posted up a sign that says "Free Hong Kong, Boycott Blizz." And from what I've heard, none of these students were ever in trouble for doing this. There was no reprimandation for them going on stream and, saying, "Hey, boycott Blizz, free Hong Kong." Yet Blitzchung got a whole year for him going out and saying, "Liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our time." So it's kind of like a double standard. And from what I understand, the college tournaments aren't advertised globally like the Hearthstone ones are, or internationally. So a lot of people think that's why they didn't get in trouble, is because China wouldn't have cared anyway, because they weren't being marketed to for that. But anyway, after all that, we also had Blizzard employees boycotting and walking out on Blizzard and protesting out in Irvine, California, covering up signs that say, "Think globally, speak freely," and stuff like that. They were covering up all the signs, since, Blitzchung is being punished for speaking his mind and speaking freely. Trying to think if there's anything else that goes into this. I don't think there's any other major things that went into this. This is what Blizzard stated after all the backlash thus far. The developer will no longer strip Chung of his earnings, and both fired casters will have their suspensions reduced to 6 months too. I think Chung is also getting a 6-month reduction. So all three of them will have a ban of 6 months. Chung will at least be getting his earnings back, which is huge. The Irvine-based developer has been under scrutiny since, including internal criticism from staff after it suspended Chung on October 8th for expressing support for ongoing protests in Hong Kong during a Hearthstone broadcast. Brack said in his statement that Chung broke the rules by using his interview to make a statement about the situation in Hong Kong. He added that Chung's views were not a factor in his decision. "I want to be clear, our relationship with China had no influence on our decision." This says otherwise. If that was really the case, then these kids would have also gotten punished the same way Chung did with a suspension, or their university would have gotten suspended from competing in Hearthstone events. But they didn't. So that says otherwise. This leads everybody to kind of believe that the Chinese influence was what happened, and that's why Chung got hit so hard with his, prize earnings stripped of him and a year-long ban. And not to mention the two casters who had nothing to do with it anyway also were casualties in this. I'm guessing that they decided to appease China in a way where, I'll just ban everybody involved in the situation, even though they may not have had a part in it. They were still there, so they can be punished as well. That seems to be the Chinese way as well. He continued, "If this had been the opposing viewpoint delivered in the same divisive and deliberate way, we would have felt it and acted the same way." Again, not true. Over the past few days, many players, esports fans, and employees have expressed concerns about how we determined the penalties we've had, and a chance to pause to listen to our community and to reflect on what we could have done better. In hindsight, our process wasn't adequate and we reacted too quickly. Well, yeah, I'm sure China was putting pressure on you to act quickly because of what happened in the NBA, where the Rockets owner spoke out in support of the Hong Kong protests. And he got in a lot of trouble too, because if you guys don't know, the NBA does a lot of business in China over the preseason, where they do a bunch of their games over there. Not to mention that Tencent, a company that has the stake in Blizzard, Activision, as well as other major gaming companies. You probably play a Tencent game nowadays anyway. League of Legends is owned by Tencent at the moment. They bought out Riot Stakes and ended up doing what they do with it now, Worlds and that. So yeah, I'm sure Tencent had a major part in that reaction. We want to ensure that we maintain a safe and inclusive environment for all our players and that our rules and processes are clear. All this is in service of another important Blizzard value: play nice, play fair. In the tournament itself, Blitzchung played fair. We now believe he should receive his prizing. We understand that for some this is not about the prize, and perhaps for others it is disrespectful to even discuss it. That is not our intention. Okay. So if this important value was really important to you, you wouldn't have took his prize earnings to begin with, for one. He played nice and he played fair. Let's be real here. Liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our time, isn't anything terrible for him to be saying. He's not supporting violence. He's supporting the liberation of his country. And right now, as I understand, there are peaceful protests going on in Hong Kong. They're not violently protesting. Chung's initial suspension came after winning a Hearthstone Grandmasters match against South Korean player Jang Don Hyu Jae on October 6th. In his post-game interview, Chung appeared on the stream wearing a gas mask and shouted, "Liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our time." They cut away from the interview, and Blizzard later pulled the video and suspended Chung, stripped him of his prize winnings, and fired the 2 Taiwanese casters that hosted the interview. Again, casualties of the situation. They did nothing wrong. The caster should never have been fired. Following the suspension, Chung told Polygon he knew there would be negative consequences, but that he wanted to contribute to the protests Hong Kong is having right now. All he wants to do is support his people as they try to fight for liberation from China. There's nothing wrong with that. Critics accuse Blizzard of folding to Chinese interests, whether that's Chinese media company Tencent 4.9% stake in Activision Blizzard, which we just mentioned, or its desire to capitalize on a large Chinese gaming market. Yes, the Chinese gaming market is huge. When Overwatch first launched, it made Blizzard a crap ton of money. Same thing with Hearthstone. And I think they make more in China than they do here in the States. Multiple Hearthstone casters stepped down from their positions in solidarity with Chung, noting that the punishment was too harsh. A collegiate team, which I've already showed you guys, which are these guys here, Free Hong Kong, Boycott Blizzard, on the broadcast. In the days following, Blizzard faced criticism from across the globe as consumers protested or posted pictures of themselves uninstalling Blizzard games and canceling World of Warcraft subscriptions. So, imagine bending the knee to China, thinking you're going to protect your Chinese interests, only to turn around and realize that you've pretty much screwed yourself globally out of all these people who are now getting rid of your games, getting rid of Battle.net, canceling World of Warcraft subscriptions, when World of Warcraft is already in a lot of trouble subscription-wise anyway. And even with WoW Classic bringing it back up to what I think literally underneath BFA levels of subscriptions, now you're going to lose those again, and World of Warcraft is back down in the tank. And that's going to cost people a lot of money as well. It could cost people jobs as well, honestly. Others took to Photoshop to turn Chinese Overwatch hero Mei into a symbol of the Hong Kong protest in an effort to get Blizzard banned in China. What they did is they basically gave her the gas mask, similar to what Chung was wearing, and they wrote what he said: "Liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our time." At the Blizzard campus in Irvine, California, employees covered up plaques inscribed with the company's values, particularly think globally and every voice matters. Because again, if they're suspending Chung over this, every voice doesn't matter, right? In protest of Blizzard's response, Brack addressed these company values in his message to the community, knowing that Blizzard's actions were causing people to question if it was committed to those values. Brack said at Blizzard, it absolutely is committed to these values. Sorry guys, my voice is a little bit rough today. Blizzard's ruling follows a similar incident, which I mentioned before with the NBA, where Houston Rockets general manager Daryl Morey tweeted support for the Hong Kong protests over the weekend. He got in a lot of trouble for this. He was told that he wasn't allowed to tweet that, and they told him to remove the tweet, I believe, which he did. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said the NBA will not apologize for Morey's tweet, though he did say that the league are apologetic that people are upset. According to the Los Angeles Times, Chinese Central Television said it will suspend preseason broadcasts of the NBA. Tencent has a reported $1.5 billion contract to stream NBA games digitally, and the company said it too will suspend its broadcasts. Protests have been going. This is the reason of the protests. Protests have been ongoing in Hong Kong since June, when the government proposed an amendment to the extradition law in the region. Hong Kong is part of the People's Republic of China, but operates semi-autonomously. The extradition law, which had now been suspended, would have allowed suspected criminals to be extradited to China, but the tensions in Hong Kong are about more than just the bill. Since the bill's suspension, protesters' demands have expanded to include universal suffrage and an investigation into the Hong Kong police force. So, my final thoughts on this: Blizzard's response to all the backlash and the criticism, that's not going to do it. You are an American company, Blizzard. Blitzchung said nothing wrong. He expressed himself, and that's what America is. It's democracy. You're allowed to do free speech without fear of being reprimanded for your speech, as long as you're not promoting violence, which Blitzchung isn't promoting violence. He's promoting the liberation of his country. And right now, the Hong Kong protests, as far as I'm aware, are peaceful protests. Like, there's nothing wrong here. He's not promoting violence against China. He's promoting the liberation and freedom of his country. And he's being punished for it by China, essentially, through an American company. That's crazy. How far does China's reach really reach here in America, that they can sit there and silence people that speak out against them? Even the NBA, like the NBA didn't necessarily bend the knee, but they did have Daryl. I'm just gonna call him Daryl. They did have Daryl remove his tweet, I believe, from Twitter. And I'm glad Adam Silver didn't apologize for the Rockets' tweet, or the GM's tweet. It's fine for them to be apologetic for anybody it may have offended, but at the same time, you don't apologize for free speech. You just don't do it. If it's not hurting anybody and you're not protesting hate, or not protesting hate, but you're not promoting hate, then there's nothing wrong with what you stated. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments section. Do you guys think that Blitzchung should have been suspended for a full year? Do you think that they should have took his prize earnings initially away if they're living under the motto play nice, play fair? Do you think it's a little hypocritical of them to now go back on the ban and give him his earnings after banning them outright to begin with? What do you guys think about the casters? Do you think the Taiwanese casters should have been suspended for a whole year, or now 6 months since they've addressed the issue? Do you think a reduction in suspension is necessary for the casters or Blitzchung himself? What do you guys think of the Chinese government and their reach here in America, where they can have you suspended if you're playing on a pro esports team? Do you think that's right? Let me know down below what you guys think. Let me know if you guys uninstalled any Blizzard products as well, or if you guys have any plans on boycotting Blizzard. Yeah. I think that's going to do it for this video, guys. Like, favorite, subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Comment down below, like I said before. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching. And as always, liberate Hong Kong. Revolution of our time. Later.